crying my eyes out at this film between these two massive thugs. Wondering, what is this? What is this we've got between us? Is this a man or what?
Iain, David, and Quinn started out to make a $50 million movie based on Iain's book, TJ's War. Mark, Sia, and Sincera soon jumped on board, and then Mr. Z joined the team, a mysterious executive producer who said, "Stop, this is no movie. This is a 2-season, 20-episode TV show. So follow us, join us as we create TJ's War, the $50 million TV series."
Hello and welcome to We Are Making a $50 million TV series, where we explore the stories, voices, and creative journeys of inspiring individuals across the arts and beyond. My name is Iain McLean, and I'm your host for this podcast. I'm thrilled to welcome a truly versatile talent to the show. Our guest is Lisa Shingler, an accomplished actress and award-nominated voiceover artist with over 20 years. You're going to be too old there, Lisa. With over 20 years of experience in British television, theatre, and audio performance. From memorable roles in iconic shows like Coronation Street, Holby City, and The Bill, to voicing everything from high-profile commercials to documentaries and e-learning. Lisa has brought her signature warmth, wit, and authenticity to audiences across the UK and the world beyond. She trained at the prestigious Guildhall School of Music and Drama. So did David Blair, earning the coveted Gold Medal Award, and has since carved out a career that spans stage, screen, and studio. Whether you've heard her narrating a documentary on National Geographic, caught her on screen in a BBC drama, or even heard her voice in a Mercedes or Vodafone ad without realising it, Lisa's work is everywhere. Today, we'll be diving into her creative journey, the art of storytelling through voice, life behind the mic, and what it takes to sustain a career in such a dynamic industry. Lisa Shingler, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
Good.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you for writing that.
It's all true.
Normally you have to write it yourself, and that's really hard. When somebody does it for you, it's amazing. You go, wow.
So in this podcast, we talk with a wide range of people who have some connection with the making of TV productions, and sometimes the link can be quite tenuous, but not here. You've become an integral part of the we for quite some time now, and we'll dig into that. But let me start at the beginning, the origins of Lisa Shingler, and what first drew you into acting.
Well, I think the first, yes, it was my nana. It was my grandma. My mum was a nurse. My dad was in computers. So no theatre background there. But my nana, she was all about theatre, even though she wasn't allowed to do it professionally because, in that era, it was just not done or, likened to even prostitution, wasn't it, in the olden days? Believe it or not. Maybe you should cut that out.
No, it's in there now. Lisa Shingler compares herself to a prostitute. Carry on.
Thank you, Iain. Right, I'll just go. See, that was just a joy. Bye. Yes. So she wasn't allowed by her parents to go on the stage.
Where was this, by the way?
Pardon?
Where was this? Where were you?
In Scarborough. In Scarborough, because that's where I grew up.
Right.
And that's where my nana lived all her life. I think she lived in Malton. I think she might have been born in Malton, which is close to Scarborough. But have you heard of the Open Air Theatre in Scarborough?
Yes.
It opened in 1932. And they put on enormous shows. It's a theatre in the middle of a lake. And and it had 7,000 seats. I think it still has around that today.
Mm-hmm.
And they put on enormous productions. And my nana was a huge part of the open air theatre. It was leased out by the council to a theatre company at the time. I think it was called the Scarborough Operatic and Dramatic Society. That was what it was called. And they would, because they put on these enormous productions, they couldn't afford all professionals. So they would have amateurs as their chorus, or up to about 400 people in the chorus. And then they would go to London and cast the principals. And my nana, well, she was a principal dancer, and she also was a lot of the leads as well, but she wasn't a paid member of the cast until she went into casting later, when she went to London and brought back some of the stars to try and get more audience in, which was a little bit later. But you know, that theatre stayed open through the entire war. So it opened in 1932, and it was open throughout the whole war.
Wow.
And then it closed. It got into a bit of difficulty in the 60s to get audiences in. Wasn't making a lot of money. Excuse me. So do you remember that show, It's a Knockout?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So
Eddie Waring.
Yes. So they eventually sort of moved in, and they did 12 seasons at the open air theatre there. And that's what kept it afloat, literally,
Wow.
for a number of years. And then it closed in the 80s. And now it's open again. I think it was, well, I know it was 2010, because that's the year my daughter was born. And now it's a big music venue. So Elton John's played there, Tom Jones, like all, bands from across the globe. And because it's got amazing acoustics, they're natural acoustics. Because back in the 30s and 40s, they didn't have microphones and all that. It was just completely natural acoustics from the surroundings.
Fantastic.
So anyway, I've gone a long way around saying that I used to just love hearing her stories about the theatre, and just going, wow, why would anybody want to do anything else? That's just incredible. And then she was like my biggest cheerleader. And I later did some shows when I was younger, and she was choreographing lots of them as well. And then I just thought, right, this is what I want to do. It was just, I think, sorry, go on.
This was your mother's mother?
Yes, my mum's mum.
So why did your mum not follow in her footsteps?
I don't know. My mum just always wanted to be a nurse. I don't think she wanted to and then was stopped. I just don't think it was something that excited her or that she had a passion for.
So it jumped
she
a
loved
generation.
Nursing. Pardon?
It jumped a generation.
Yeah. So I just could hear her talking about all the stories, and for hours and hours, and we became really, really close. And she lived till she was 100, actually.
Wow.
So, and I know you said that you finished writing your book on your
My dad's
would have been 100.
birthday.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Yeah. Well, she was very lucky that she had such a long and happy and healthy life. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you were keen to get into that. How did you actually get in?
So I wanted to go to drama school. I knew I did, but I was impatient. I still am today. I'm always impatient. And so I was too young to go to drama school, but there was a performing arts course at Harrogate, which was quite close to Scarborough, that I worked out I could do that for 2 years, and then I could go to London and go to drama school. Mum and Dad, bless them, they did support me. They didn't like the idea and really did everything to try and change my mind. but yeah, so I left there. I left home when I was 16. I went to Harrogate for 2 years, did a performing arts course. And so that was singing, dancing, and acting. And I also did my A levels there as well. I did theatre studies and communication studies, I think. And then it was a BTEC that you got a diploma at the end of it. And they encouraged me to go then to musical theatre school. And I was like, but I want to go to drama school. And they said, yeah, but you're probably more likely to get into theatre school. And so I said, right, I'll show you. And I did. So I got into Guildhall. I met David, your
yes, I should have explained. David Blair, narrator of the audiobook of TJ's War.
Yeah.
Who's done a brilliant job.
Absolutely. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Astonishing the amount of characters that he completely embodies in that book, is because it's not just a voice he's putting on, he completely, it is
fantastic. I did a casting and David was head and shoulders. Sorry to anyone who was part of that and isn't David. But he was head and shoulders. And then I said, well, I've never done an audiobook before. You have. Off you go. And he says, well, I'll need to read the book now. And I thought he was going to go off and read it into a microphone. That would be it. But no, he came back to me and he said, I've got 100 characters here. And that was a surprise to me. I'd got no idea there were that many characters in the book. And so we then spent a couple of weeks going back and forth about what these characters were like. And I would identify actors or famous people that kind of were a bit like them. And so that gave him a clue as to how to hang it on. And the amount of preparation he did before and I'm sure you're the same. It's a whole world that I had no idea about. And we'll come back to that for you. But yes, he did a brilliant job. And when in the podcast where you and I first met, maybe about 6 months ago now, I think, where we played out chapter 14 of the book, he was great and you were phenomenal. Oh. You actually made me cry. And I'd written it. I knew what was coming, and there was just tears coming down my face. You couldn't see it on the. Thankfully, you couldn't see it. There are a lot of big guys who play rugby who I know who would be going, "That's McCain crying." I've never seen that before. I'm going to interrupt you and just tell you a funny story.
Go for it.
I was in Texas years ago and coming back to. I can't remember what I was coming back to. But I got onto the aircraft before anybody else did. This would be about 14, 15 years ago. And I was not quite down the back, but about halfway down the aircraft on this big wide body thing. And I was in a seat in the middle. So there was a seat either side of me. There was two on one side and one on the other. The next lot of people that came on board was the Fijian national rugby team. And the two guys that sat beside me were the props, the big burly guys at the front of a scrum, the props. And Fijians are big to start with. Well, these guys were just enormous and didn't really speak so much as grunt. But they sat down either side of me, and I'm not small, so we're completely crammed together, shoulders, arms completely up against each other.
Yeah.
And I'd been told that Descendants had just come out and was a film worth watching. So we took off, and I started to watch George Clooney in Descendants. Have you seen that film?
No, I haven't.
It's a real weepy. Yeah. And about halfway through, I can't help myself, and I'm going... And these two guys are turning around to me. I couldn't do anything. Just crying my eyes out. And there's film between these two massive thugs. I'm wondering, what is this? What is this we've got between us? Is this a man or what?
Did they say anything to you?
No, they couldn't. They just grunted to each other and sort of.
They were probably crying too.
No. they would never, the idea I'm sure never passed their minds. Anyway, there we are. But
Now we're all human.
back to us.
Back to us. I don't know. I just got visions of this Fiji. You said Fiji rugby team now, and you're like shaking shoulders
And trying to hide it. Failed miserably. It was just awful.
oh no, that's worse. Oh dear. Oh well, I loved reading Rose, and it's just so beautifully written.
Oh,
I mean, when you do make this TV show, I think I'm not just saying this. I think actors will be queuing up to be in this, production show, TV show, whatever.
from
Because
your mouth to God's ears, Lisa.
oh well, I'm serious because the book, like I've said to you before, is extraordinary. It's what you have put onto paper, this true story with so much heart, then and time to research, and it's all in there. It's got the amount of times that I was streaming like this, shaking shoulders reading it. And it's because it really cuts deep. And the fact that it is true is even more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And how you've crafted all those characters. Now, all of them are so specific and so important. And I learned so much about the war as well that, what you learn at school and various other things, but, all those details that you just don't hear anywhere else, Anyway, that's my prediction. I think the part I want to play, Meryl Streep will be there going, I'll do it. Out the way, Lisa Shingler. Oh dear.
Meryl Streep, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
You've got whatever
chance.
you want, Lisa. I'm sure. I just wish I had the power to do that. It's going to take off. We'll have finished the treatment, and then it's just going to be taken
Exactly. It goes into somebody else's hands.
We'll have no control over it.
When I said, what I said, I don't have any preconceptions that I would get anything in the film. So I didn't, that was just want to make that clear.
I sincerely hope you do. I mean, if nothing else, Rose, you were just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, bless you.
Enough. We must get back to your story.
My story. Oh, where were we then? So yeah, we were talking about, I don't know, what were we talking about? Yes, so I went to Guildhall, met David Blair, had the best 3 years. I wish I could just do it over and over again. It was just an incredible training. I was so lucky to get in.
Is it like Fame? You know that film and TV series Fame?
Oh, yes. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Well, that was sort of predominantly, Fame was predominantly music, wasn't it?
Yes,
dancing. So this is serious acting, Iain. Serious acting. Shakespeare and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing like that. And yeah, 3 intensive years, and just went in a flash.
Did it change you?
Yeah, I think. Well, I certainly grew up because I think I was 19,
right,
when I went. So yeah, 19 to 21, and so I definitely grew up, and at drama school you go. Well, certainly our training, you dig deep into your soul and your psyche and everything to be able to, to draw for different characters and emotions and situations. And, and especially when you're young, you haven't lived a lot of life. You haven't experienced a lot of things. So you have to open up your imagination, like it's Pandora's box, it's and sometimes you just don't know what's going to come out, but obviously they're incredible teachers, so it's all very thought out. And yes, I've lost my track of the conversation now.
Do you think you might lose Lisa Shingler in the middle of that? You might, because you're working so hard on what these other characters are, you might actually lose who you are. Does that happen at all?
No, I don't think so. No, because everything comes from you. If you just put on a character, then it's not authentic. It's not real. You're not living and breathing that character. Then it becomes caricature, or
interesting, right?
It becomes an impersonation, if you like. So you've got to really know yourself to be able to take attributes of your, not necessarily personality, but just the way you tick, and just draw on life experiences or emotions. Yeah, it's not something I can really explain in a few minutes.
I think we got the hint. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that at all. That's very interesting.
But one thing is, I think everything's changed now, and because of this authenticity thing that's huge, that's what it's all about now in everything, isn't it? And quite rightly. But when I was at drama school, I was encouraged to get rid of my northern accent. So I tried and succeeded in getting rid of my northern accent for potentially more work when I left. And now I'm actually having to work on getting it back. Because yes, we're talking 92 to 95. A long time ago. So you'd leave and be able to speak the Queen's English, and the received pronunciation, RP.
Yes. So what does that sound like? When you are speaking RP, what does that sound like?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So now you put me on the spot. Well, it's neutral English. So I think naturally I speak in a soft northern accent now, because I've lived in the south for longer than I've lived in the north. So I have certain vowel sounds that come out. But to do a North Yorkshire accent, I just go home for a bit and just, sit in my dad's pub, talk to the locals, and then that's fine. I'll be done. And of course, I had to do that accent for Corrie. So I spent a lot of time in my dad's pub.
Well, that's a great excuse.
Pardon?
That's a great excuse.
Yeah, excuse.
Okay. So after you graduated from Guildhall, what was your first break?
Well, I was really lucky, very fortuitous to get a job straight after I left. So I graduated in the July, I think. And then, after the summer, September, I went into 2 weekly rep at Harrogate Theatre.
Right.
And I stayed there for 3 seasons. And Andrew Manley, who was the artistic director at the time, he actually came to Guildhall and he auditioned the year. And I was really lucky that I was one of them, that was picked. And I played incredible characters. I was so lucky, like Maggie and Cat on Hot Tin Roof, and Rita, educating Rita, and Desdemona and Othello. I mean, just dream parts. And I think that was amazing. I really, really learned my craft doing rep, which is such a shame they don't do it anymore.
Well, there's still Dundee, I think. Dundee rep up north. Yeah.
Do they do rehearsing one play by day, and then by night
I
you're playing
I'm not
a
close
different
enough to
play.
it, but it's still called the Dundee Rep, and I'm pretty sure they're still going strong. But I don't know the
Yeah,
answer to that question. But
yeah.
what were you doing? I mean, what does 2 week rep mean? Do you do a play for two
Well, yeah.
weeks and then something else?
Do you know? I think it might have been 3 weekly. So 2 weekly. It's a long time ago. It was 2 weekly or three. No, I think it was 3 weekly. So yeah. So I might be rehearsing, playing Rita and Rita and educating Rita during the day. So rehearsals start at 9 or 10 in the morning, finish at 6 o'clock at night, then have a break, and then I go on stage playing Desdemona in Othello in the evening.
Wow.
And this would just go in a and then when that finished, educating Rita would go on in the evening, and in the day I would be rehearsing for another play, another part. So maybe Maggie and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah.
But you're always given a sort of a smaller part and a larger part. So
Right.
you wouldn't, so it wasn't overload, and also balancing out the cast and giving everybody, some meaty roles. So, but it was incredible. You just don't stop. I mean, what an opportunity. And it
Absolutely.
was at Harrogate. Sorry, what were
No,
you
no.
going to say?
I was just agreeing with you. Absolutely. It's a tremendous grounding.
Yeah. And so that was for a year and a half. I stayed there. So 3 seasons. But while I was there, unbeknown to me, the casting director for Coronation Street, Judy Hayfield was her name, is her name, but she doesn't cast Corrie now. And she came to see the show. I can't remember which one it was. It was either Educating Rita or Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and got me in for the part of Rachel Forbes for Coronation Street. So you never know who's going to be in the audience. No, this little theatre in Harrogate, beautiful theatre, that you never know who's watching. Well, that was
So,
that.
so what was the difference when you moved from theatre to TV?
Uh, well, it was a bit of a shock. If you remember back then as well, there was only 4 channels.
Yeah.
There wasn't even channel 5. So if you were on the telly, I don't know, even in an advert, somebody would probably spot you on the street, It was stepping into a different world. And also it's a different art on TV and screen to acting on stage. And also Guildhall was more of a classical training. There was hardly any TV and screen training, to be fair. So it was definitely sort of learning on the job, and you're really thrown in because it's fast, really, really fast.
So when you're doing something like Shakespeare, it's very stylized, and whereas something like Coronation Street is supposed to be very realistic. It's not. Storylines are ridiculous, but did you find that transition easy?
What? I thought I found it challenging, but it didn't faze me. It didn't faze me in the fact that it's an incredibly supportive environment. Everybody is, looking out for you, and because it's so fast, you don't really have a lot of time to worry about it.
It occurs to me from what you've been saying earlier that because it's realistic, what you're
Yeah.
really doing is playing you.
Well, yeah, it's definitely bringing more of me. I mean, I played an estate agent called Rachel Forbes, who was dating Steve McDonald's character, which, I've been in Coronation Street again recently, playing a different character, but still dating the same character.
He fancies you. He just keeps calling you back in. I'm sure that's what's going on there.
No, he's very happily married and has children. Don't go there. Don't go there. But yes, I think they didn't. I'm not sure they realised at first when I first auditioned, but obviously they realised that later. And because it had been, 27 years since I've been in it, it just didn't matter. It's that long. That's people ain't gonna care.
I'm pretty sure there are aficionados out there who would have spotted it straight away.
Oh well, it did come up in a few papers. There was a few of the tabloids that were going, "Have we seen this actress before?" Yes, And then little baby-faced me 27 years ago, and then this old wrinkled prune.
Stop it.
Now,
you're a very gorgeous woman. So
I wasn't fishing for compliments.
No,
that's
not a problem.
To find out more about the book, visit tjswar.com. And to buy it, click on the Amazon link below. So follow us, join us as we create TJ's War, the $50 million TV series.